was born in Los Angeles. Actually, I was born in Hollywood, California. I grew up in Hollywood, so there are not many cinematographers in the world that were born and grew up in Hollywood, California. And so I was invited here to Poland to exhibit a very short, somewhat boring clip that I could get in order to let them exhibit it. And it was a very interesting choice because I had just come off another show for HBO called Curb Your Enthusiasm. And with Curb, we shot with Sony FS7s. Once I finished Curb, I knew that I wanted to make a change because I wasn't completely happy with the color and how it turned out. So I looked at a lot of cameras. I looked at Arri and Red and at anything new that Sony might have. And then I had some other DP camera operators that recommended this new VariCam LT. So I thought, okay, well, I'll check it out. So I went to Las Vegas to NAB, and I saw their booth that was exhibiting both VariCams, and I met Barry there also. And they had a scene that was lit that was just unbelievably gorgeous and somewhat impossible to reproduce. And I won't go into describing the scene, but it really intrigued me. So I found Barry, and I talked to him for quite a while. And I said, listen, I'm thinking about doing this new show, and I'm thinking about using your camera. I left it at that, and then I spent the next 3-4 months here and there in LA at Able Cinetech, testing the Sony FS7 with the Arri Alexa with the VariCam LT. And then testing their whites and their blacks and their midtones and their color representation and all of that stuff. So after testing it at that point, I was convinced this was the camera that I wanted to use. I buy my own cameras usually. I've owned many cameras over the course of the years, so I'm not a company, and I can't afford to just buy a camera and decide, oh, I'm not going to use it. If I'm going to buy a camera, I've got to make sure I need to use it. So I was sure that this was going to be the camera. I bought 2 of them, and I took them to Netflix, Fox, who produce Arrested Development, and I told them, the line producer, this is what I want to use, and immediately they went, Panasonic, what do you mean? P2 cards, and what do we have to do? Oh, that means we got to do this and this and this. I said, yeah, you're going to have to get P2 cards, but I'm telling you, you're going to buy those P2 cards and you're going to use them for the next show, and the next show, and the next show. So I did some tests with the LT on set as they were building it and painting it, and comparing all the different ISO bases and then shifting from the base to other ISOs, either lower or higher. And I determined that, at least on my show, the part that we shoot on the stage, we could shoot at 5,000 ISO as a base, but knock it down to 2,500. I lit the set with basically about 28-foot candles on average, which is not much light. It's just light enough to seem like it's a real scene, but it's not too bright. And I have been really happy with how it's turned out. And we haven't even gotten to the point of color correction or anything like that. The show won't be done until March, but I'm very, very happy with VariCam. Well, we shoot in a 3-camera situation. So, 2 cameras shooting overs of 2 actors, and then a single camera shooting either the 2-shot or maybe somebody extra in the scene. We had on set, we had 2 of my cameras, but we had a total of 5 VariCam LTs. So 3 were built for handheld use. 1 was built to use in a big Movi rig, and the 5th one was built for use on a Steadicam. Because I would have had to light the set more, I would have had to put more light in the set, and I was determined to light this stage in a completely different way with only LED tubes through softboxes at a very minimal amount of exposure. And that gave me the benefit of being able to look through windows of a house or an apartment or whatever on a stage and not have to use gigantic lights to create sunlight. because now I'm already fairly dark. So instead of a 5K, instead of a 10K, I can use a 5K. And if I really want a beautiful sun, I can use a 10K. But usually when you start to light at 800 or 400 or wherever we used to before, you used to have sky pans and 10Ks and all sorts of things outside the windows to try to replicate what is natural, you know. So really my reason was I just wanted to knock the amount of light that we were using completely down. Skin tones are gorgeous. Skin tones are just, you know, I don't want to put down Sony or criticize Sony because I've owned many Sony cameras, but there's a skin tone representation with Sony where skin starts to look, I call it like a clay pot. It looks just has the color of terracotta, and it's not real. It's sort of fake orange kind of a color. The skin tone representation, even before color correction with the VariCam, is beautiful. It's soft and it's more believable. And I think you would see in the clips that I showed of the two actors that are in the scene. One of them, he's always a pretty tan guy, Will Arnett, and the other one, Jeffrey Tambor, he's Mediterranean, so he has a bit of yellow-green in his skin. And granted, they do have makeup on. I think they look fantastic both in the exterior and in the interior, and we really haven't color corrected. That was just a base color that I put on so that we could send it to Poland. I had a discussion with Barry about shooting RAW and shooting their ABC, Intra, whatever all those numbers are, the vlog. And for what we were shooting and the amount of, I also wanted to cut down on the amount of memory that was going to be needed for the post department to back up everything. I didn't think it was really necessary to shoot in RAW. We weren't really pushing the camera that much to the point where that was a necessity. I was really happy with the way it looked even without shooting RAW. So there was no reason.